Hi students, this video is an introduction to your tripod mug, which is a mini project that you'll be completing. So the objectives for this project is to use soft slabs to construct a mug that has 3 feet. We're creating a functional mug with a handle. If you're like, well, what are we making? It's a mug with a handle. And you're demonstrating the ability to construct a cylinder and use various texture techniques on the clay, because in order to construct your mug, you are going to have to create a cylinder, but we need the slabs to be kind of soft. So these are examples of tripod mugs. So what's a tripod mug? It's a mug with 3 feet, hence the word tripod. So what makes tripod mugs unique is they use soft slabs for the construction, and sometimes we need our slabs to be soft depending on the forms that we want. So this is a great way to practice that. And the mug has a belly. So these are the features of our mugs. You're going to need to include a handle, and we have to actually think about the size of the handle and the way it's constructed. You're going to need textures on the surface. We need the opening to be kind of smooth because, again, we're thinking about functionality here. Like, ideally, we want to be able to drink out of these mugs. And if you do construct your mug properly, we technically can drink out of them. The belly is kind of bowed out or rounded, and there's 3 feet. So these are some more visual examples. There's many ways to create the texture. You can create the texture before you construct the mug, or you can add textures after as well. But really pay attention to what they did for the rim, because something you're going to need to figure out is, do I want my texture to go all the way to the rim, right? Is that going to be comfortable if someone drinks out of it? And then what about the size of the handle? I've seen some handles that look ridiculously big next to the body of the mug, and then I've seen some handles that look kind of small. So this is an example that I created, and this is an example done by a student. So you want to make sure we're actually filling in all the areas when we glaze it. And yes, we'll be glazing these mugs. So here's some more student examples. So you can see students did use the texture mats. We also have some designs that were used creating the texture rollers. And the designs on the outside of your mugs can be abstract. They can be representational. I believe this was referencing something from Minecraft. These are little fish. So yes, you can use appliques, which are those 3D attachments on clay. So let's go over some requirements here. Your mug must be at least 6 inches tall. You'll be using a template when you start, so hopefully you'll get that height. It must have 3 feet. That's not negotiable. It has to have the 3 feet, or it's not a tripod mug. The outside surface must use textures that demonstrate 2 of the 3 texture techniques, which are appliques. Those are the 3D portions of something on your object, impressions, and again we can use texture mats, texture rollers, as well as stamps, and incising. Incising is drawing on the clay. Now I'm not including carvings because I've noticed in the past when students want to carve on the clay, you really need to have the clay be a certain thickness, and if we carve into our mugs, we don't want to poke a hole and then you might have to start over. So that's why I'm limiting it to these 3. You can use all 3 techniques if you want. Your tripod mug must include a handle, and there are several ways to create handles. The handle should be proportional to the body. That's something I'm looking for when I'm grading your work, and the work will be glazed later on. So remember, in our class we received 2 grades for ceramic projects. You receive a grade for the construction and meeting the project requirements, and also getting your work turned in on time, hello, and as well the second grade would be for the glazing or how you're finishing your project. So there are separate demo videos for the construction of the mug. It's not going to be in this Edpuzzle. There's a video on the construction, and then there's also a separate video on how to create and attach a handle. There's many ways to work with handles, and I can obviously help you in class. But again, we have 2 great examples here of student work because you can see how they used some of the different texture techniques. So let's start by making a sketched plan, because That's what you need to do first before you actually start construction. So make sure you have a page open in your sketchbook. We're just going to call this tripod mug. And you can decide, do you want the opening of your mug to be like just straight like that? Or do you want the opening of your mug to be a little more curved outward? So I'm just going to demonstrate a really simple outline for a tripod mug. So it does have this belly that sits out. I know it kind of looks like a cauldron, but that's just coincidence. So if you do the belly right in the construction, then you'll have that belly that's sticking outward. But it also has feet, and I don't suggest trying to change up what the feet look like, because again, then you kind of start to lose focus on the construction aspect, because there is some requirements here on how to get it constructed. So we can see 2 feet, and if we just want to exaggerate things, that is the foot in the back, right? Because there's 3 feet, 2 facing one way, 1 facing the other way. Now think about what kind of textures you want to use. If you want to go into the clay room and look at the texture rollers, the texture mats, the stamps, you can look at those as well. I have many things you can use for impressions. Again, you can totally draw a lot of things, but again, we need 2 of the 3 texture techniques. We need appliques, which are 3D, or impressions, and or incising, which is drawing. Now, do you want to draw some words on the surface of your mug? Do you want to use an impression and add some appliques? You get to decide. Okay, I'm not going to draw this for you. I'm going to let you decide on that. But think about the handle. It's okay if we just draw the handle on the side, because again, that's going to change once we are doing the construction. My camera does not want to focus today. So do you want the handle to be like, again, you don't have, again, it's okay if you're like, I'm not sure how to make a handle, Miss J. How would I draw that, right? So you can just start with something basic like this. And I know when I look at it, I know that your handle's not literally going to be that thin, because if it was, that wouldn't be very good functionality wise. So your next step is creating a sketch, draw in the details. I'm going to check this before you actually move on to constructing your mug.